I don't think people realize that you always have control of raising your vibration, whether it is daily gratitude practice. I really, really believe that. I know it's a simple reminder, but gratitude can truly change your life and call in more of what you want. And I said it last week to a bunch of realtors that I said, get out in nature. When was the last time you have done that? If you live in Vancouver, when was the last time you've done that?
Welcome back to In the Host podcast. I'm Toni Singh.
And I'm Jenny Nguyen.
And we have a super fun and special guest today, Ms. Lily Nguyen, consciousness creation coach.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Thank you for coming. And you have your own podcast as well.
I do. I have a podcast on Apple and Spotify called the Soul Seekers Podcast. It's kind of just...
It's very good. I've listened to some episodes.
Okay. Yes. That's good. It's really free flow. That's kind of how I live my life.
She's free flow. So before we get into... We have a bunch of questions for you. Before we get into all of that, we always ask our guests one question to start. So what is your spirit animal and why?
It's a sloth. I think because sloths just really know how to live their life in the most best way possible. They don't have to go anywhere, be anywhere, but they're surviving. And I honestly think everyone probably at some point in their life wish they could be a sloth. So I choose to embody that.
I like that.
Tell us more about the purpose of your podcast.
For me, when I created the podcast, it was really out of like a place and a platform to share my stories. I believe like one of the top skill sets in this world is to tell stories. I think a lot of people, whether they are podcasters or authors or just business people, there's a reason why. And so for me, it was just a platform to really share all the experiences that I have gone through or intuitively the downloads I've received that I feel like collectively someone could also benefit from as well. So when I do speak, I speak from my soul, and that's why I call it the Soul Seekers podcast, because a lot of the times I think whoever is tuning in or listening to that message at any given time, it's finding them at that time that they need it, whether it's my story, whether it's what I'm going through, or just the things I collectively pick up as well.
Can you share for our listeners a little bit more about your journey and background and how you ended up in the career and life that you're living right now?
Where do I even start?
Anywhere. We're free flowing.
Free flowing.
And being in the moment.
What moment made you transform into that? Like, was there this aha moment?
Oh gosh, I think in life there are so many aha moments, but it's whether we listen. I think the universe is always trying to speak to us in different ways. So, I mean, prior to becoming a coach, I was in the recruitment industry. So I was a headhunter, and I don't know if you've ever heard about that industry, but everyone says 1 year in recruitment is 3 years in any other industry. And I'm very sure it's similar to real estate as well, because the volume and what you're dealing with and the volatility, right? And not a lot of people are always in such a high-paced industry. So I was really burnt out. And, you know, even though I was making good money and I was doing well, I just felt like every day I kept on coming home and crying, and I just kept on saying, why am I so unhappy? And then I think for a lot of people, 2020 was this time of introspection. We couldn't go anywhere, do anything. And I really started to question myself and say, what is my purpose here? Like, what am I meant to do? I don't really think it's this. And it was through a series of events, and I shared this in one of my podcasts, like this concept of home. And I really think that I was always searching for this like concept of home, and is this like idea of coming home to myself, like what am I meant to do and how I meant to show up in this world and make an impact. And I think through a series of events, I think a lot of the times if anyone's going through a spiritual awakening, it usually happens in a very abrupt way. So for me, it was getting laid off from my job that I didn't even like, really abruptly. And I just said to myself, I remember writing in a journal, I said to myself, the universe has greater plans for me. Even though I was in so much distress trying to figure out what to do, And the next week, I found my mentor, Bob Proctor, and everything kind of just went from there. And I just really allowed myself to follow the flow and the direction of life that was meant to go. So I don't know if it was an exact moment, but it was an accumulation of like build up where I knew that I couldn't keep living the way I was living because I was so unhappy, and nothing in my external reality was really showing that. It's just internally I felt that every day.
So that's a really great point. Why don't you, what does manifestation, like manifestation, consciousness, what does that mean to you? And maybe if you could elaborate a bit more on the mind, body, soul connection, that would be helpful because a lot of our listeners are, real estate industry or entrepreneurs, and they're wondering what are we talking about? How do I create this for myself? Is there another way of being that I can have, my most abundant life?
Yeah, well, first off, I think one, we have to define what an abundant life means to us because not everyone wants the same things. And I think most of the times people define success by someone else's standards. But if we don't actually start to realize what success means to us, it might not mean a big home. It might actually just mean peace. It just might mean inner peace. So when we are actually coming from that place, when we talk about manifestation, we're manifesting every single day of our lives. Everything in our reality, everything we create, every experience that we have, it's a manifestation. And once we begin to recognize and own our power to create the reality that we want, that's when we become conscious manifestors. So when I talk about consciousness and why I call myself a conscious creation coach is because we are consciously creating every day. It's just dependent on our level of awareness and where we're tapping into to create, right? So we have different levels of consciousness, and the more we are allowed to really separate ourselves from like a mind, body, soul perspective, realizing that we're not limited by our bodies. Our bodies are just a vessel that really brings us to where we want to go. Our mind, when we talk about mindset, no one has ever seen the mind, but it controls and dictates all of our lives. And I see the mind as this key or doorway or bridge to where our soul is. And our soul knows that we come here for a reason, and the more we allow ourselves to tune into that, or allow ourselves to be, and allow ourselves to actually tap into not just our desires, our natural or material desires, but our desires to find a place of feeling or being or peace. That's where we really allow ourselves to actually work from. So what I really like to help people do is to understand that they are a soul here first. And then when we work backwards, what does our soul want? We start to work on our mindset, right? And our mindset is that bridge that then moves our body to like really allow ourselves to not feel at disease or like anxiety or whatever that is, right? But everyone works from our body first. So I really want to shift that to understand that consciousness is like realizing that you're actually a soul here first. And once we are able to separate that, that's why it is working from 3 planes of understanding in life. Where that we have to find balance in all of it because we still do have to exist here first.
I'm curious to know, so you were in recruiting. That was, would you say like 2020, like 2019?
Oh, so I've been in recruiting since I was in recruiting in 2020, but I've been in the industry for 6 years.
In the industry of recruiting. And so before or maybe during recruiting, did you study or educate yourself or take courses on learning about how consciousness works or the neurology of it, or where does this passion come from?
It's so interesting that you say that. No, I went to school for human resources.
Okay. But it's the study of people, like
Yeah,
people's behavior and their needs and their what they desire.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like that.
And interestingly enough, in university, the classes that we got to take like as a pre or like just for funsies was like philosophy, psychology. Those were the classes that I liked. But coming from an Asian background, it's like you can't go and get an education in that, and
Right.
your parents are like, "What are you doing?" So
Pretty common.
yeah.
And on top of that, to even make it harder, is that Asian families, I can speak for myself, and you can comment as well, but we don't talk about our feelings very much. So I can't even imagine, like, I can't even imagine talking about this with my parents, right?
Yeah. No, I hear you.
I think that's why when I decided to become a coach, I didn't see anyone that looked like me in the industry. I really just, it was in a sea of faces that didn't look like mine. And so that's why I made the decision to do it, because I realized that there has to be some sort of change, whether it's generational, whether it's cultural. And so that's why I made the decision to do it, because I really, I love my coaches, and I would go into their containers, but I never saw anyone that looked like me, and not even anyone that looked like was around the same age as me, or yeah, same background. And I just thought it was just really strange. And yeah.
I have a question actually related to Jenny's. What was it like then when you made this decision to completely change your life, and you also went away and you traveled for a bit too? How was that received from your family? Did they was there a
Support.
backlash or anything, and then did you just power through, or did they accept it willingly?
I think that I have always been the type of person that will do it and then beg for forgiveness after. But my parents, I think I've been working on them for quite a bit of time. So when I started to do this or choose this life, I mean, I've gotten backlash like, why don't you just get a normal job? Why don't you just, like, what are you even doing? Even my husband thinks I'm a tarot reader. I don't know.
I would love my reading today if you brought your cards.
I should have followed my instincts. I was gonna bring cards.
No
Yeah,
way.
I didn't know.
Well,
Different topic.
her husband's saying that she's a tourist. She's not saying she is one.
No,
but
I know.
would love to, play it out how it looks like. So you obviously have this energy and this compassion to develop these blueprints for people in human resources, but now using the term soul, using that vehicle of a soul. How does that look like? Like, what does that process look like when you retain like a client, and how, like, walk us through that experience.
I love this. Okay, so I use the system called human design. I'm not sure if anyone has ever heard of it. It's a little bit more new age, but it's a combination of the I Ching, the Kabbalah system, astrology, and chakra system. So it's a combination of Eastern and Western systems that basically explain the energy of you. So whenever I coach someone, I really try to understand energetically how to bring them into alignment with themselves. We do the mindset work where we're shifting our paradigms and our belief systems, but it's really getting into alignment with how you're meant to show up, because you can't compare someone that may be like going like have so much energy and they can create whatever they want, and you're like, I can't keep up, and the cost of that is so different. So I do use this system called human design to really help my clients get into alignment, right? So if anyone's new to human design, there's 5 different energy types in this world, and it makes up this entire world. And I think when I found this system, it just clicked, and I was like, I'm meant to like use this. I don't even know what it is, but I just felt like coming home.
So the human design is developed by another individual back probably decades, generations ago?
Yeah, so the story is really crazy, but it's this gentleman who basically had a mystical experience and this download of this system called human design, which if you actually ever look it up, you can find up your design according to where you were born, the time of birth, and your birth date.
I just did that this morning.
Ooh, what did it say?
Well, there's a lot of numbers, right?
But what was the like type?
Oh, I'm gonna look up my email.
Okay.
During this podcast. During
Okay,
this episode.
good.
Yeah. And
You can use me as an example as well, though. That might help.
yeah, I'm interested.
Okay, so human design is basically the study of you. How do you get into alignment of you? And so there's 5 different types. There's a manifestor, a manifesting generator, a projector, and a reflector. So this makes up 100% of the population. Me and Toni are both actually projectors, and so what that means is we don't have unlimited energy. Like we don't have what is called a defined sacral, and your sacral is your life force energy. But we're meant to be the seers of society. We're meant to actually come here and show people that success doesn't mean this, doesn't mean the hustle culture. And projectors are actually only meant to work like 20 hours a week. But things are supposed to, I know.
And I'm not listening. She told me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's everything in life is about trial and error too, right? We have to realize, because I've also been in the experience where I'm learning to decondition myself to know that my worth is not based on how much I can produce, it's based on how much I can be in alignment. And so human design for me, I saw it as this permission slip, and it's a permission slip to experiment with your life and see if maybe there's a better way. There's a better way to do things. And there are energy types that are like, for example, the generator. They actually make up 70% of the population, and they are unlimited energy beings. They actually feel a lot of the non-energy beings here, and they're meant to be the life force building energy. And that's why we as a society have been surrounded by generators and thinking that we have to keep up with them. But actually, if we start to lean into our design, we can realize that we can allow ourselves to flow a lot better, as opposed to trying to always keep up. And that's why defining your own version of success is really important.
What's going to, I'm asking this for Toni because I love you to death. And what if someone does not, like, goes against their human design?
Yeah. Like you said before that I need to work 20 hours a week. I have worked 20 hours a day before and 7 days a week.
I haven't done that.
And I do that and it's exhausting
so
and I
long,
get
yeah.
tired, obviously. So,
Well, you have to think about what's the cost. What is the
Health.
cost? Yeah. Right. And so, like, the body, even when I talk about manifestation, the body, if you look up manifestation, like like just on Google, it's manifestation is an ailment of some sort of disease or some sort of illness. That's also manifestation. So that's why when I talk about like just getting into alignment, it doesn't just because it says, oh, you're only meant to work 20 hours a week, you're like, oh, I can't. Like that's so disempowering. Use it as a tool to empower you, because also part of human design, you are meant to see how strategically you're meant to show up. So projectors, we have to wait for the invitation. That means like you can't just like go and like cold call, and like how disempowering is that, right? So you have to use these tools as tools of empowerment to like, oh, you know, invitation means like I'm gonna keep doing things that light me up, and then the invitations will come. Doesn't mean just sit around, but it means like do more things that light you up and know that that's how things will find you, or opportunities or whatever you're seeking.
Did you happen to find your design?
You know what? So it's genekeys.com, correct?
Gene Keys is part of human design.
Okay.
But
So I did the wrong test then. I'm going to finish it and post it
Yes.
afterwards.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, yeah.
but I'm really interested and curious. And one really good thing that you shared with us, Toni, before we started this episode was that you just hired someone recently. So I'm really happy to know that you're leveraging your resources, knocking the 20 hours to 18 hours at least.
I'm so lucky to have you girls in my life for all of your support. I love you both so much. But yes, and actually, that's one of the reasons why. So Anoop is our new realtor in the office. She's amazing. I know she's gonna be doing amazing things for herself. And one of the reasons why I'm like, you know what, I have to stop doing things the same way. And Lily had said this to me before as well, because I do go door knocking. I actually like it.
yeah,
But then I sometimes get tired. So what happens if we could have the same results, right? Or better? You would have better results doing things in a different way. So that's why I brought Anoop onto the team to get some of my time back, because you did say too many hours.
I mean, time is like just a number and everything, but it also is the most valuable resource that you'll never get back. And so I think it's important to realize, actually, part of being a projector is to give the things that you don't enjoy to someone else, to outsource those things. If you don't enjoy it, then like it's not an alignment. And we want to find alignment. That's why I'm talking about peace and satisfaction and success in our lives. Is we want to do things because it's going to bring us into alignment, not from a place of like, you know, for me, when I was in my job, I felt so at dis-ease, and I had to realize I was like, there's something wrong that I feel this way.
So
One question to finish off this blueprint question I have. So once they do the human design test, what are the steps afterwards? How do you put together the program for them?
good question.
Yeah, so basically I already have a program created that it's really how do we, so I talk about this idea of transcendence. Everyone like if they want to, I guess, elevate higher, they want to transcend. So understanding your blueprint understands how you're meant to work in life. So we work from a place of like, what kind of desires are you creating for yourself? And then a lot of the times how I work with people is we actually go back into the past. So I do a lot of like inner child healing with people, shadow work, because part of transcendence and part of becoming whole is actually being able to integrate all parts of you. And a lot of that is actually from human design, because in human design we talk about conscious and unconscious blueprint. And the more we understand that, the more it is this permission slip, this acceptance, this like way of,
Mindfulness.
yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. And I think a lot of the times we're not mindful of how we're exerting our energy or doing things, or the cost of it too, right? And bringing ourselves back to the present moment, which I talked about yesterday. The present moment is where we create the future. But we have to realize what stories we're telling ourselves. That's why I do look at the past, and that's why I do talk about, you know, what your inner child is, because actually the interesting thing about consciousness is it's all parts of us. Like even our inner child, we can speak to our inner child right now, and that's still a part of us right now. And even our shadows, the parts that we don't talk about, or our traumas, that's still a part of us right now. And the more we can accept that, the more we can bring ourselves back into alignment and move forward.
I love that. It's so amazing. So give our listeners an example then of if you're living in your alignment, and you're operating, I guess, in the way that your design is meant to be. What does your structured day look like
Mine?
for your type? Yeah, because you've created so many programs for your coaching clients as well, right? It takes a lot of creation to do that. So what kind of structure do you follow for your day, if any?
Oh, I so actually I do believe in discipline, surprisingly, even though I have flow. But I do believe that when you create discipline, you allow yourself to flow better. So I do for myself. I have 1 hour of the day where it's literally just me. I wake up way before my husband. I meditate. I journal. I do gratitude, and then I connect with my spirit guides. And I think because I truly feel myself as this like, I guess, midwife to the universe. I do this because it allows me to channel. It allows me to channel what kind of messages that I have to go through, especially a lot of the times when I coach my one-on-one clients. I intuitively just kind of tap into what they need to talk about. And it's never kind of like following a logical order. It's just like, I feel like this is what we need to talk about today. And they're like, yeah, I've been going through that. I'm like, so I think it's just really allowing myself to have that structure in how I start my day and then flow from there. And that's how I've created a lot of my programs. Is I felt this call to learn about Reiki, and then now it's like, oh wow, that's connected to human design and how we can actually, we have these energy centers that we can balance if we're feeling unbalanced. It's like, wow, now my body is telling me inside that I need to maybe ground myself more, or maybe I need to like focus on creativity more. We have these chakra systems that we all have within us, and the more we are able to like recognize, the less we burn ourselves out.
Yeah, I must say I'm glad we're doing this in person, because a lot of our calls are hybrid. It's either remote where they're at another location, and you came in person, so we appreciate your time coming in person. And as soon as you walk through, there's this calm sense of energy, very calm, confidence, and it's a great way to be in that space because it's very open, I find, and it's very inviting. So I'm glad you're sharing this energy with us right now.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming in person.
So you used to host, or recently you also did host like a kind of lunch session with a very top producer in Vancouver, but you do host like weekly manifestation sessions for realtors. And so is that your niche? Like, is that who you ended up targeting, or?
No, not at all.
Okay. Tell us like a broad spectrum of like who your clients are, who do you typically service, and lately, I guess, some of the topics or concerns that you've encountered in terms of a pattern that you've seen with realtors.
So I think for me, I was trying to see this like common theme of who I work with, and what I've realized it's all people that are in some way a creator. whether it is they are in network marketing, they have a brand because that's your brand, or actors. I don't know why. I've never been an actor, but I had two clients that were actors. So I was like, what? This is so strange. So I was trying to find like a correlation between all of this. And I just realized it's people that are creators or brands. And so how do you, I don't really know how to describe that, but that's really it. Someone that feels that in some way they are their own brand, whether it is in network marketing, whether they are a influencer of some sort. So it's been really interesting to kind of see the patterns of what I attract.
I don't know if this is correct to say, but when someone's an influencer, there's a lot of it where you have to give, you have to please, you have to, like you're in the eye of a lot of the public. And so you tend to maybe give away some of you because you have to share that with the public. And so I don't know, I'm just thinking on the fly here that maybe perhaps that's the reason, is that they need to come back grounded and centered because they're giving too much of them away.
Yeah. I mean, they are their brand, right? They're selling themselves. And I think that level of confidence or that level of like really being that person that they are meant to be in public eye, that's a really big thing as well.
And the question is, are they good enough? They're always
Yeah.
probably asking themselves, are they good enough for
Well, that
for
comes up
more
a lot.
followers, more sponsorships, or anything like that?
Yeah, and even now, like as the topics that we're talking about, like presenting in front of people, what people are mostly talking about right now is like, how do I raise my vibration? That was
Very
a topic.
common theme.
Yeah.
So do you have any tips for that?
Oh my
Since you asked
gosh.
we asked the question.
Yeah, I mean, it's so simple, but like I don't think people realize that you always have control of raising your vibration, whether it is daily gratitude practice. I really, really believe that. I know it's a simple reminder, but gratitude can truly change your life and call in more of what you want. And I said it last week to a bunch of realtors that I said, get out in nature. When was the last time you have done that? If you live in Vancouver, when was the last time you've done that? Because you absorb so much energy when you're working with clients in the back and forth that you don't even understand how much negativity you take on as well. And actually, if we go out into nature, we can give that back because the earth is here to heal us. And when I said that to this room of realtors, they were like, wow, what a great reminder.
Jenny likes the outdoors quite a bit. You're always out there doing sports and everything.
I definitely enjoy the water, and I definitely enjoy walks and hikes and everything. So I'm definitely taking advantage of all the resources and like the nature that we have.
Do you find that it grounds you when you're having that time to yourself?
Yeah, I don't. I'm never like, I think in general myself, I'm pretty calm and I'm pretty.
Yeah.
I have a lot of gratitude for life, and just because of things that I've gone through, and I never want to take advantage of it because I feel like living in Vancouver, we have so many privileges that a lot of other countries don't offer. So yeah, I think it's like you said, it's a sense of gratitude. I want to journal more, but I just don't have time. But I feel like I'm very aware of things that in the evenings and the mornings, when I wake up, what are my intentions for the day. So yeah.
So, I guess in saying that, if you could offer realtors or any type of brand, I guess, because we're more broad spectrum businesses, 3 tips to manifest their destiny, what would it be? Would the first one be gratitude? And then moving out from that, what other 2 tips would you have?
Yeah, so I think, well, I always say gratitude, like just having a journal or even just waking up and it's expressing it. And then the second one would be really getting to know yourself. I think this is really important because, like I said, a lot of people will define their success on someone else or based on someone else's desires for them. But when it comes back to it, you have to actually know yourself and know that if you have that desire for yourself, it was planted in your soul or your heart for a reason. And actually that allows you to magnetize more or create more, move towards a destiny that feels right for you, because we can feel a lot of resistance if we're trying to build a life that is not ours to own. I think that's really important. Is we sometimes lose ourselves because we might be in a very masculine society where it's like, oh, I want to be number one in whatever industry you're in, but do you actually want to be number one, or do you want to be happy? Do you want to have a work-life balance? Do you want to spend more time with your kids? Comes back to that too, right? So I think knowing really who you are and what you desire is really important because I said this before. I always say, like, when was the last someone asked you, what is it that you want? Other than someone at Starbucks or, you ordering a drink, it's what is it that you really want? And allowing yourself to actually slow down and ask yourself, what is it that I really want?
Yeah.
I want to give like specific examples for our listeners. When someone needs to write a gratitude into a journal, they're going to be like, I enjoy this mug. I am happy I get to sleep in. I love these sheets. Like, can we take it to another level of that? Because then they're going to find documenting these is time consuming and also pointless. So what can they, because my boyfriend does it all the time. He's like, what's the whole point of writing that I'm happy for with this coffee? Like,
Well, is he happy with the coffee or is just going through the motions of writing it?
yes, so
Yeah.
that's why I'm asking this question is how do we dig deeper into like more fulfilling question or more of a fulfilling answer to themselves?
Or a deeper appreciation for the
Yeah.
gratitude.
So the reason why anyone is meant to do gratitude or why the intention of gratitude is so important is it's to bring you to this present moment. It's just bring you to this present moment of what are you grateful for, but how do you feel, right? Feeling is truly the secret to manifestation. Really is. So, I've had clients that say, I've been writing the same thing every day. And I'm like, are you grateful for it though? Like, if that person was not in your life tomorrow, how would you feel? And so it brings us back to this present moment because, like I said, everything that we create is in this present moment. And so if you are structuring, like, you're very logical and you're like, I need to figure out how to do this in the right way. It's like every day, it's the small things that you notice that you can be grateful for. Today I'm breathing. Some people don't have that ability. It's like, wow, how grateful you can be for that. So 3 things that you are grateful for right now and really being present and really feeling it. And why you do gratitude is if you are grateful for something now, you're going to get more of it. So if you want to call in a manifestation, write something that you're grateful for that is coming.
Okay.
Because you want to feel like it's possible or it is on its way.
So we just talked about the 2 tips that you have for people who are manifesting their destiny. Do you have one last tip for our listeners?
Yeah. The last tip is asking yourself who you want to become.
I like that a lot.
Because it's about the process of becoming. It's not like getting to the end, but who you want to become in the process of like manifesting your destiny or who it's who you become. It's not the end goal that we're talking about, but who you become that matters. So it is who you become because, I think you guys mentioned John. He said that when he hit the $1 million goal, he wasn't happy. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the end goal or the amount. It's who you become in the process. Are you a better person? Are you a better husband? Are you a better listener? Are you a better mentor, teacher, whoever it is? I think that's really important because we don't realize that in the pursuit of material goods, we don't know what we're sacrificing. So a lot of the times when we're talking about destiny or getting to that place, it's like, who do I want to become? Because actually that's the secret too. Just like feeling is the secret. Who you become actually magnetizes a lot of the attraction in your life, the good things in your life, the opportunities in your life. So asking yourself who you want to become, because that's really important.
I love that.
Very good. And so, can you tell us or share with us, if that's allowed, a successful story where, actually, before I get to that question, what if you have a partner that is skeptical of manifestation, of consciousness? They're not very self-aware. So how does that other partner who practices it, or maybe they may not be together for very long, but how do you actually convert or or make someone believe that there is this type of magic that happens from within?
Yeah.
I
Good question.
My partner was never like this before, but now he's the one that always says, let's meditate. Like
Aw,
every night,
that's
every night.
fantastic.
You cannot bring people along that they can't be forced. I think that's the biggest thing is they can't be forced. It's just you have to become. And then your vibration gets so irritating and annoying that like they just have to come along because you're just so happy. I really think that's.
So my husband and I also meditate together now.
Mm,
And I would have never thought this a year ago, 2 years ago. We never had conversations about anything like this. And then one day I just thought, I actually thought my husband was judging me. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to invite him to participate in this. It's something we can do together rather than, watching a movie on TV. So I said, would you like to try it? No worries if you don't. And he said, actually, yeah, I think that I would. I was shocked, but it's great. Yeah.
combine consciousness to create any reality that you want it's different, right?
It's
Just
a
like
great connection
yeah.
to build off of.
So I think, I mean, this is really just do your own thing and focus on yourself. And, if they're, I don't want to say like, if they're not meant to be with you, they're going to leave. It's, everyone has their own journey. Everyone has their own healing to do. Everyone will come when they're ready. And it's being that accepting partner with open arms when they are ready to come with you. And, I never realized even with my husband, I was like, wow, you have healing to do because he's so even keeled. And then I was like, wow, this is so great that we get to do this together.
Yeah, no, it could be possibly someone who doesn't want to face it, right? Like they're kind of like, yeah, I'm okay, but deep inside, there's a little bit of nudge, or maybe there's certain triggers that happens, may come far and few in between, not daily, but sometimes there's that triggers that are unexplainable, and so if you kind of ask the right questions about trauma in childhood, it may, if you open that dialogue up, I think it's a very healthy conversation to have.
Yeah, and I mean, sharing your experiences too with them intrigues them to start thinking maybe I should look back to my childhood, or maybe I should just see what happens if I sit down for 20 minutes and maybe I'll feel good and maybe they'll like it.
Very mature way to approach it, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Let's shift the conversation a little bit about the programs that you offer for your clients. And there was quite a bit, we were kind of exploring your website, but why don't you share with us maybe like your top 3 most popular programs?
Yeah, so part of my human design is actually like I have this thing called a 3 line, which is all about trial and error. So for me, it's always about trialing and error and seeing what is happening or what is best received. So that's why I have so many different offerings because I was like, what am I meant to do? I can't just do one.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, I don't have unlimited energy, but when it comes to creating, I have tons of energy. So that's what lights me up. But the top 3 programs I offer, the first one is called Thinking into Results. So I've been mentored by the late Bob Proctor. So I coach his program called Thinking into Results, which is all about shifting your mindset, shifting your paradigm, and creating the habits and the beliefs to create the results that you want, not from a place of force, but really from a place of how can we shift our subconscious mind to create the results that we want for ourselves. And so that's a 24-week program where it's really about self-study and really shifting your beliefs and actually identifying your beliefs, really. So that's the first program that I offer. And then the second program that I offer is called Life by Design. So this is really where I incorporate human design with really chakra system. So this is a little bit more spiritual, but this is really for anyone that is new to the world of spirituality, really wants to understand themselves more and incorporate their human design to actually work in alignment for manifestation when it comes to manifesting the right results that they want, or manifesting the right partners, or manifesting really belief in themselves, because I think that's a really big thing that has happened in life, that people don't believe how powerful they really are. And once we learn about ourselves and empower ourselves with this knowledge, we can go out and do more. So Life by Design is really, I'm the type of person that really likes to push people out of their comfort zone. So that's really it, because it is something that like a lot of people are like, I've never learned this before, but now I'm going to try to incorporate it in my life. And that's uncomfortable for people. So really, it's now taking the ownership that you have the pen to write the story of your life. And then lastly, I have a membership as well. So I have a membership called the Conscious Collective Membership, which is a monthly membership that I coach one thing or workshop a month. So for the month of April, we're doing inner child healing, which is ironically interesting because Aries is we're in Aries season, which is all about the child. And then as well, I always have a member that comes in. So last month we had a human design expert. The month before we had a Vedic astrology. This month I have my money coach. So she teaches the Chinese Baizi, which is all about like our 4 pillars of abundance and destiny. But she also has a book, so she'll be talking about her law of attraction and money book.
So cool.
Cool. That is amazing.
I'm excited
What
about
are
that.
the costs, the range on these programs?
So there is a pretty big range. It goes from $8,000 to $111. So it's pretty big
One,
range.
one, one.
Yeah. So pretty big range, but just try to see where I could service everyone. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
it just depends on where people want in terms of also engagement, because coaching is quite expensive. That's one thing I've learned, right? It's not for everyone. And I don't know. I just wanted to be able to be of service to as much people as possible. But obviously, with coaching, you get a larger transformation because you're really being held accountable, as opposed to a membership. I've noticed, some people will come, some people won't, some people will watch the replays. So it really just kind of depends.
Right. Yeah. So you're putting together a program that kind of fits for a wide range of types of, I guess, when they need to, right? When they tap into the membership, then they'll kind of log into some of the free sessions or complimentary sessions that come with the subscription. And then there's the one-off programs where they need it at that moment with whatever's happening in their life.
So it's just like it's a range, just like everything in life, being able to access different things. Just like when you go on YouTube, there's also great resources on YouTube too.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Well, I think that's great. We'll explore the programs a little bit more as well. And to finish off, we have some fun questions for you. Our rapid fire questions.
Okay.
a lot lighter this time. Yes.
Is it? Do you want to start?
Yeah. What's 3 words that best describe you?
Bold, courageous, and fun.
Yeah, that's accurate. What would be a guilty pleasure of yours? Say it. Say it.
Shrooms.
Oh, yeah. I've never done them
Ooh.
before.
This is rapid fire questions, but I think we should talk a little bit more about that after this. Who or what is your biggest inspiration in life?
My parents.
Great.
What's your favorite book?
The Greatest Secret by Rhonda Burns.
The Greatest Secret. Okay, got to pick that one up. And finally, what is your word for 2022?
Oh, it was create.
Yeah.
Great. And last year was purpose? Was that
2020 was purpose.
okay?
2021 was all in. Whatever
All
that
in.
meant. Like for the universe, that's like all in. Whatever you're sending me.
Actually,
Yeah.
that's
So
a good
Toni and
way
I
of doing
we did our vision boards late last year. So how do you find your word of the year? Do you kind of think about it after meditating, or does it come to you based on like what you want to achieve for the year?
I think it's how the theme and how I want to lead my year.
Okay.
Whatever kind of how I want to lead my year, and that's what came through.
Well, I like this. I might integrate it into my yearly business plan. What would your word be, Jenny?
My word for the last couple years is magnet. And so
Okay.
my book is going to be based on magnet, and each of the letters in magnet, it's an acronym. And it has to do with team leadership.
Okay, I love it.
It just totally makes sense.
We'll
It
talk
it
more
does,
about that on
like,
another episode. That
I gotta
sounds
trademark
fun.
it right now.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Don't say any more. Last question. Where can our listeners find you?
I spend most of my time on Instagram. So this must be Lily.
This must be Lily. All right.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me. It was super fun.